it's not just the administration that matters, it is also Capitol Hill, it's also the US Congress. And that is where, you know, India has faced some degree of criticism, whether it's about the restrictions in Jammu and Kashmir or the Citizenship Amendment Act. Even today, you have the US Religious Freedom Body again criticizing the CAA. How does India navigate all that at this time?
Well, I think we navigate with the administration, because the administration has been relatively circumspect in raising issues which might be troublesome for India, and that's something which we have appreciated. At the same time, we have to engage with opinion across the spectrum in the US, and we have to be conscious that in our policies we don't, in a sense, do something which cracks that bipartisan consensus which has prevailed so far to build the relationship with India. You know, presidents, whether they were Democratic or Republican, you know, Bill Clinton, George Bush Jr., President Obama, and now President Trump, have all sought to strengthen the relationship with India, because when they look at the Asia Pacific, from where they see their major challenge coming, then India is a very plausible partner for them in this region. So I think it's important for us to ensure that we don't become an issue of bipartisan division within the United States. So a little delicacy and engagement across the spectrum is certainly important, even as we mainly deal with the administration. And here I would point out something in response to what Zorawar said, that you have a US which thinks it is not in its fundamental interest to see India's rise. I would draw a little distinction between President Trump's individual views on some of these issues and the establishment's view. I think the establishment's view may not necessarily echo that of the president 100%, and that's a space we have to play in to strengthen the relationship institutionally and to, in a sense, insulate it a little from personal vagaries.
You know, that's very important, Ambassador K.C. Singh, because what Meera Shankar was saying there about ensuring that India doesn't become a casualty in the sort of bipartisan support we have enjoyed on Capitol Hill. It seems to me, though, that in the last few months, there is a very real danger of that happening. When we've seen the way Democrat US lawmakers in particular have been more vocal in their criticism of India, and the way, the Howdy Modi event, for example, and the Prime Minister's virtual political endorsement, in a sense, of President Trump at that time. So in an election year, is this going to be seen as a continuation of that political endorsement, and what does that mean for us in the long term?
Look, firstly, we must understand the rise of these right-wing populist leaders, whether it's Boris Johnson or it's him or it's Netanyahu, it's Mr. Modi, they're breaking convention. They're doing things which have not been done in the past. The breakdown of the bipartisan consensus is in both countries. You've seen the opposition party criticize some of the things which are being done here. And you've seen the criticism in the US Congress. You've seen two congressmen, a congressman and a senator here. Now, what is happening? When Mr. Modi and he undertake this particular series of events, there is no focus, as Mr. Vikri said, brought on the Kashmir issue, no focus brought on the CAA, no focus on Shaheen Bagh. You can say those are ancillary, they don't matter to the relationship. But there has always been the core of engagement between India and US was a sharing of values. And that is why US presidents, even during the Cold War, were drawn to India. Even Eisenhower came here, even Nixon, etc. Despite whatever they felt, their first thing was to reach out to India, because they said it's the custodian of democratic values, it's the counterpoint to China in Asia. Now that continues. So is it changing? But then again, look at what President Trump has done. He's again backed Netanyahu. He's gone and endorsed a deal which is so far to the right that even the King of Jordan is not endorsing it. In our own election, if you remember, just before the elections, Abhinandan's coming back was not an Indo-Pak act. You saw the tweet coming from President Trump from Hanoi, saying there'll be some news tomorrow.
Yeah, he spoke.
He went to England and he campaigned he campaigned for Brexit, encouraging the Britishers to vote for Johnson. So you're looking at new kinds of leaders who are actually interfering in the election processes of other countries. Now, if this was happening here, reverse may be viewed by people in America, that because no other US president has come in an election year to India. Normally they come Clinton came because he had finished his 2 terms. So he came before the election. Otherwise, presidents generally do not go. But then this is not specific to India. This is something which is now becoming a global thing. So it's leadership driven, unfortunately. And the danger with leadership driven relationships is that it damages then the institutions, institutional engagement. And therefore, one last point.
Yeah.
I disagree that we are where we were. We are not where we were 4 years ago. US tells you to go into Indo-Pacific. They have just been exited from Philippines. The president has denied them now access to their ports. He is leaving Afghanistan. So there is an entirely different approach where he is stepping back and he says, you go into Indo-Pacific, I'll sell you the weapons. It's not the same vision. It's not the vision statement of Obama. It's not something Bush had in mind.